51b in the middle of the page. It said, someone that travels to another place and the custom is different. So he has to keep the chumras of the place that he came from, and he has to keep the chumras of the place that he went to. So if he goes from a place that the custom was not to do work on Erev Pesach, and he goes to a place that does work, so then he's not allowed to do work. He goes from a place that does work to a place that doesn't do work, he's not allowed to do work. The Gemara says like this. Either way, he has to do something there. It works out well if he goes from a place that does work. That means a place that's lenient. On every place they do work. When he goes to a place that doesn't do work, then they impose on him the stringencies of the place that he's gone to, that he is right now. And that's what the Mishnah says, that you shouldn't do anything different because that could create machlekes. Because you're in a place that doesn't do work. If you're going to do work, everyone's going to see, what's this guy doing? He's doing work on Erev Pesach. It's going to create machlekes. However, and you don't do work. But what about the other? Where he lives, they don't do work. It's a chamer, they're machmer over there. And he goes to a place where they do the work. If you're going to take seriously the al yeshana the machlekes, don't do anything different because it's going to lead to machlekes, then you should actually do work. Because over there, everyone is doing work and you're not. So what does it mean? Al yeshana the machlekes, that which is the Mishnah says, don't change because don't do anything different because of machlekes. That's creating a problem in that scenario. How can you do this? We just said that we put on you the stringencies of both. And you can't have the stringencies of both if we're going to be concerned about not switching because of a machlekes. Amar Abaye answers Haresha. That phrase, Al Yishana Adam Machlekes, is only referring to the first case of the Mishnah, where it says that you went to a place that doesn't do work. And over there you don't do work because that would be a machlekes. But if you go to a place that does do work, the Mishnah didn't say Al Yishana Adam Machlekes. That wasn't referring to that. Over there it says we just put on you the stringency, and we're not discussing the machlekes aspect. Rava says Li'olam HaSeifa, really is talking about the Seifa. And how's this going to work? What the Mishnah means to say is Ein Bezu Mipnei Shinoi HaMachlekes. Maika Amar Taroya. This is not switching, this is not adjusting because of a machlekes, which would create machlekes. Why? It's not creating machlekes. Because the observer, what's he going to say? Is he going to say that this guy, everyone here is doing work, and this guy isn't doing work? Oh, he must be stricter than us. Is that what they're going to say? They're going to say there's so many people that aren't doing any work, that are batlanim, that they don't do anything in the marketplace. So this guy also is not doing work. Just because he's not working doesn't mean that he's machmer, right? Someone that doesn't have a job doesn't mean that he's machmer. Maybe Shabbos is a different way, different day of the week. It's not. There's no chumrah there. It is not working. Okay. So where's the issue of machlekes? Only if you're actually going to do work, but not doing work doesn't mean anything. Okay. Amalei Rav Safra Rav Abba. Maybe to Rabbah, different versions over here. It's a very interesting Gemara, and there's different ways of reading it. It says Kagaina Nan or Kagaina Na. It says, for example, me, Rav Safra saying, the Adinim Bekviya Diyarcha, that I know which day is actually Yom Tov. In other words, we keep 2 days Yom Tov in Chutz La'aretz because originally they didn't know which day was the correct day. So they kept 2 days just to be sure. And now that we know, so it's Minhag Avosenu B'Yadeinu, we keep it just because that's the tradition. Rav Safra is saying, I know which day is Yom Tov. But Taisus points out, it's not because he knows the calendar. It's only because, he quotes Rabbeinu Tam, that the Shluchei Bezdin are able to reach him. He lives in Bavel, but somehow it must be at the edge of Bavel, and where the messengers that come from the court in Israel are able to come to him. Now, why is it that the people that are there are not keeping it if he does know? That's a little complication. If that's the area that he is, so then how is he working that out? There's a problem over here. He's asking a question like this. Someone like me that knows the Kriya Diyarcha, that knows the calendar, that knows what day is really Yom Tov. B'yishav le'yavidna. So I know that in the area, the settled area where everyone is, I don't do malacha on the second day Yom Tov. B'pnei shinoi hamachlekas, because it's different and it's an argument. But b'midbar mai, what about if I go to the desert? Can I do malacha over there privately? I know it's not Yom Tov. So, like we mentioned, there's all types of complications. If he knows, so why doesn't everyone else know? Rabbeinu Hanano has a different pshat. You look, I don't know, in my old Gemara, it's the bottom line. He says, Rabbeinu Hanano says that I'm going to Eretz Yisrael. And he's saying, I'm coming from a place that kept 2 days. And I'm going to a place that only keeps 1 day. So in the settled area where everyone is, I have to keep the 2 days because that's where I'm coming from. But what about in the desert in Eretz Yisrael? In the desert in Eretz Yisrael, can I keep only 1 day? Sounds weird. It should be really the opposite. It should be people are going to see him not doing malacha on a day that's not really Yom Tov. Well, okay, it's not doing malacha. It's not what we said. Not doing malacha doesn't mean anything. Very strange. Very strange. Okay. Whatever the case is, some of the Mefarshim over here say that Shluchei Bezdin reached there in Tishrei. He went somewhere else for Nisan, and Shluchei Bezdin did not reach there. So therefore, he has to follow. He's able to keep the calendar. That's l'chayr the pshat. He's keeping the calendar for where he was when the Shluchei Bezdin came, and now he went somewhere else where the Shluchei Bezdin don't reach. And that's the issue over here. He's asking, if he's not in a public area, is he able to keep the 1 day that he really knows about? I guess that's the pshat. Okay. Amalei, so Rabba or Rabbi Abba, they say to him, Pachiyam Rabami, B'yishav aser b'midbar mutar. In the settled area, it's forbidden, but in the desert, it's permissible.
At this time, was it not asur for someone outside of Eretz Yisrael to calculate the months?
Yeah. That's why Taisus said, it's not that he actually knows the calculation of the month. It's because the Shluchei Bezdin have reached to him, his area.
Okay.
But like beside the Iber Kamar, that's Taisus something about it. The Bnei Bavel, B'ki B'ibur Diyarcha, and nevertheless they kept 2 days. They know the calendar, but they had to keep 2 days anyway. So, Elam Mefarsh Rabbeinu Tam Shem Lakum Shluchei Bezdin Megam L'Sham. Yeah, the problem is, so why does he have to? Very nice explanation for Rav Safra. The question is why he needs to be strict in a yeshiv. in a settled area. If everyone over here, why is he the only one that's privy to that to the shluchei desdin? So you have to come up with some issues, with some ukimtis, you know. Okay. So, what do we hold? And if we go to Eretz Yisrael, we keep 1 day, keep 1 day or 2 days. I think it depends who you ask. And you can ask whatever answer you want. You ask a different rabbi. That's the, what do you want to do? You want 2 days? Okay, ask so-and-so. Alter Rebbe in Shulchan Aruch, Mamish in the beginning of Aruch Chaim, he says that the light of the Shechina, the light of the Yom Tov, comes down and it separates itself to the different areas according to that area. So it comes to Eretz Yisrael, it comes for 1 day, it comes to Chutz La'aretz, it comes for 2 days. And if you're in Eretz Yisrael, then you automatically keep 1 day because that's what it is in that area. That's what it is.
One of my sons visited, he asked Rabbi Ashkenazi. He gave him a very long answer, which essentially was, you can do whichever you want. But if you only keep 1 day, you can't do anything in public.
Right.
So, where does that really get you? It means you can turn on the light.
Right. It's the other way. I think the Israelis in America also keep 1 day. No? I think so.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. So in a public area, that's probably Reb Naftali, that's probably what's happening here. Telling him that in a public area, you have to keep the stringency. Here it's the opposite. He has to keep the stringency, even according to Rabbi Nachmanel, even if he's in Eretz Yisrael. But in private, he doesn't have to. In private, he can go like Eretz Yisrael. It's so strange. Okay, Reb Nosson bar Asya, only be Rav Lepompadisa B'Yom Tov Sheni Shel Atzeres. Reb Nosson bar Asya, sounds like he's the son of a doctor. Asya is a doctor. He went from the yeshiva to Pompadisa, which apparently is out of the Tchum. And he went on the second day of Yom Tov of Shavuos. Shamti Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef put him into Chayrim. Very harsh. Why don't you just give him malchus? Why don't you give him lashes? Lashes apparently is less than Chayrim. I did something even stronger. The B'Marava Mimno Hanagida the Bar Beirav, Mimno Hashamta. They wouldn't gather to put a cherem in Eretz Yisrael on a person. They would only gather to give malchus. They would join together to make a decision. Does he deserve malchus or cherem? They would only do that if he's a yeshiva student for malchus, which means that it's less. They wouldn't do it for shamta. Now Rashi says they wouldn't do it for shamta. They wouldn't gather together to make the decision for a cherem because of Kabbalah Torah. They didn't want to do that to him. So why does Rabbi Yosef do it to him? I don't know. Unless we take out the Amr line. Does anyone have the Amr lay removed in the Gemara? And then it would all be the words of Abaya, which would make sense. Abaya is telling him, why are you being so harsh? In Eretz Yisrael, they didn't do that. In Eretz Yisrael, they wouldn't do that. That would make sense. Now, Rabbi Hananel here says that if they would want to give someone malchus, they would have to gather together and make a decision. But if they wanted to put someone in cherem, the guy was so bad that they wouldn't even need to gather to make the decision. They would just immediately put him in cherem. That means that's how bad it was. So Therefore, that proves to me that chayrim is something that's done for something much harsher than malchus. So Rabbi Yosef, if there's an amalei here, Rabbi Yosef is saying, no, I did something that's much harsher, Tim, because in Eretz Yisrael, this was considered harsher, more harsh. Ikad Amri, some say that what happened was actually the opposite. Nagde Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef gave him malchus. Amalei abayin eshamte mar. Why don't you put him in chayrim? Rav and Shmuel damer tabayim and other nosnei yom tevim shel galus, because Rav and Shmuel both say that someone that takes lightly the 2 yom tovim of galuyas gets put in chayrim. You should have given him a more harsh punishment. Amalei hanimini inish dalma. That's only a regular person. Here it's a rabbinical student. The Tabale Avdi, I did something that was better for him. The Marava Mimnu Anagadata and Anagdasa, the Barbi Rav Mimnu Ashamta. They wouldn't gather together to put a chayrim on the Tzurfim Merabanan on a rabbinical student. They would only join together to make that decision regarding Malchus. Okay, and then Rashi would explain because of Kavod HaTorah. Okay. We said that someone that brings Shemitah fruits from one place to another place, and the rule by Shemitah was that if there's no fruits left in the field for the wild animals, then you're not allowed to keep the fruits stored in your house. You have to take it out to share it equally with the wild animals. And if there's nothing left at all, then you're not supposed to eat it. There's nothing left at all. Yeah, I'm not sure what it means. If you take it out and then you eat it equally, or if it has to be actually destroyed. It sounds like mivar. Mivar means destroyed, but mivar and menabayas means you take it out of the house. I saw in the note in the Steinsaltz that there's 2 opinions on how this works. The opinion of Rashi, the Rambam, and the Raiva is that removal must be performed after a certain species is no longer found in the field. Removal is performed by destroying the produce that remains in the house, either by burning it or throwing it into the sea of the light. That's what Rashi. According to Tosfos, the Sefer Mitzvahs Gadol, and the Ramban and others, the process entails removing the produce from one's house and then declaring it ownerless. When a given type of produce is no longer in the field, one removes it from his house, then it declares it ownerless and renders it available to both the poor and the wealthy to eat it in the field. According to some authorities, it may be eaten only by the poor. Okay, so what's the pshat in beer, shviyas? Is it removing it from the house or is it destroying it from the house? That's a machlekes. Okay, so what we're talking now is that if in one area there's nothing left in the field, and in another area there is left in the field, and you took produce from one to the other, you always have the stringency of either one. We impose on you both stringencies. Rabbi Yehuda concluded the Mishnah, and he says, you also go and bring. Now, what does he mean by that? We said, we'll see in the Gemara. So the Gemara starts off with the assumption that there's a person that came from an area that there's still, he brings, let's say, his dates. And in his town, wherever it is, Yericha, there's dates, and he goes to some other place where all the dates are finished. So they tell him, "What are you eating dates? There's no dates in the fields over here. You're not allowed to eat dates." So according to Rabbi Yehuda, what the Gemara thinks is that he can tell them, "Where I come from, there's dates. Well, you go bring dates yourself. You'll see that there's still dates there. I don't have to remove them." So in other words, Rabbi Yehuda is giving a lenient opinion. That's what the Gemara thinks, that he can tell the people in his new location, "Where I come from, there's still dates. Go bring your own dates. You'll see it's. You can go get your own." But Leslie Rabbi Yehuda did not. What does Rabbi Yehuda say? He doesn't hold that they impose on him the stringencies of the place that he goes to. Also, he gets the stringencies of both the place that he left and the place that he comes to. Rabbi Yehuda is saying something else. This is what he means. Let's say in his town, you're still able to eat. There's still fruits there. And he goes to a place where there's also fruit, and he has his fruits with him. It's fine. He can still eat. However, and then he hears that where he comes from, it's all done. According to the Tanakama, he imposed on you the stringency of the place that you came from, and now it's all finished, and now you have to get rid of your fruits. 1 second, I just came from there. What are you telling me? You go yourself, go there, and you'll see that you'll be able to bring. I don't have to believe you that it's all finished over there. You'll see that it's not really done. I can still continue eating these fruits that I brought. So in other words, the Tanakhama is being strict on him because of this report that arrived, that over there's no more fruits. And Rabbi Yehuda says that you don't have to be so strict because the fact is he just showed up and he doesn't have to believe them. Does this mean to say that Rabbi Yehuda is being more lenient? Which that's what's happening. You have a statement from Rabbi Lazar that Rabbi Yehuda was actually being more strict. We have to turn it around. How do you turn it around? What you say is like this. What is the Tanakhama saying that you went from one place where when you left, there were still fruits in the field, you have no problem eating these fruits. You go to another place, there's still fruits in the field, you have no problem eating these fruits. And then they tell you that the place that you came from, all the fruits are gone. So, Ein Chayiv Lavar, you don't need to destroy it. Rabbi Yehuda says, no. Go bring from this place that you brought from, and you'll see that it's all done, and you're not allowed to eat it. It's the opposite. Is like, go try and bring, and you'll see that it's impossible. So Rabbi Yehuda is being machmer, and that's the way it's going to fit with the statement of Rabbi Lazar that Rabbi Yehuda is being stricter than the Tanakhama. Abaya Amar Lo'ilam Kediktani. Abaya says, really, it's the way that we presented it before. V'achi Kamar, and this is what it means. If you went from a place where there's still fruits in the field, and you're allowed to eat over there. However, the new location that you came to, there's no fruits in the field, you're not allowed to eat it there. So you go back to the place where you came from. And over there, you're allowed to eat. So no problem. As you're walking out, like by the toll booth, they told you that, by the way, in that new location where you're headed, over there, you're not going to be able to eat these, the customs, the Shemitah custom. Over there, you're not going to eat these fruits. It's all finished in the new area that you're going to. So he goes back. So the Tanakhama says, Rabbi Yehuda says, no. Go bring from that place that you were just visited, and you'll see that there's nothing there. Now you're stuck, and you're not allowed to eat it either. Maskef Ravashi. Ravashi has a question. Rabbi Yehuda ato agaba de chamra kaltinu. Do we say that it gets absorbed into the new location? It gets naturalized because it was on the back of on the back of a donkey. All of a sudden, you went from this city to that city, and you turned around right away. It becomes from that location, and now you can't eat it anymore. It gets its passport stamped, and that's its new home. And when it goes back, it's also because it visited there. Ravashi says no. The Pluktadani Tanai, it's really a machlekas of the following Tanai. The Tanan, started in the Mishnah. If someone pickles 3 vegetables in one barrel, I don't know, whatever he does, cucumbers, tomatoes, okra, pickles, whatever that. It turns out that when you pickle them together, they become one product. The problem is that these vegetables in the field, one of them may be finished, there's none left. The pickling preserves it. and some of them still may be in the field. So which one? What type of product would this now become now that it's pickled all together? Is it cucumbers? Is it tomatoes? What is it? Okay, so it's a machlekes. That's usually what happens. Rabbi Lezer Amar Eichlan al Rishon. Rabbi Lezer says l'chumra. The first one that is finished from the field, then you can't eat anymore. You can't eat it anymore. Whichever one's the first. Once one of them is gone, you can't eat this anymore. You have to put it outside. Rabbi Shua says exactly the opposite. You can always follow the more lenient opinion. You can follow the last one. If there still is okra or whatever still in the field, you can still eat all of these pickles because it becomes one species. Rabbi Gamliel says you look at each piece inside this pickle jar separately. And it's no more cucumbers. Okay, you can't eat the cucumbers. No more tomatoes. You can't eat the tomatoes. What's going on here is like this. The Tanna Kama is going to follow the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua, and they're going to be lenient. They're going to say that the fact is I still have one of these species in the field, and you can continue to eat everything that's in the pickle jar. And Rabbi Yehuda, he follows the opinion of Rabbi Gamliel, and he's more strict. And he says, go try and bring the species that you're trying to eat try to bring it from the field. You're going to see that this isn't there. This you can't eat. So he's not being the strictest as Rabbi Eliezer, but he's being the strictest as Rabbi Gamliel by the comment, you try to bring this species, you'll see it's not there, you can't eat it. And Allah is like Rabbi Gamliel, which means Allah is like Rabbi. Ravina Amar, that was Rav Ashi's pshat in the Machlekes, Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said these words, we don't know what they mean. We know that there's a stringency on the place that you went to, the place that you come from. We know all of that. What does Rabbi Yehuda mean when he says Tzeva Habilach Al-Fata, you also go bring? Does he mean lenient or strict? Rabbi Lazar says he means strict. And here what we're saying is that he's strict about the species in that jar that's not in the field anymore. Ravina says Hani Tanai. It's a little bit different. So Machlekes Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yehuda is really a machlekes between other Tanaim as well. The Tana was taught in a Mishnah. Supposed to be the Tanya, I think. That's what my Gemara says on the side. Eichlin betmarim achichla ha'achrin shebetzar. You're allowed to eat dates until the last one of Tzayar is finished. Where are you located? You're in the land of Yehuda, but not necessarily in Tzayar. Tzayar is Irat Marim. Is Tzayar another name for Yericha? Is that a different city? Eat Tzayar. It was that city by Sidon, right? It was a small city. So, okay, we're going to see shortly that the land of Israel is divided into 3 sections. And those sections are general locations for produce of Shemitah. That means if anywhere in that area, in that section, you still have produce, you're allowed to eat in the whole section. And it's not like, well, in my field, there's none left, so I have to take it out of my house. It's not how it works. If in the whole area, that third of Eretz Yisrael, there's no more produce, then you have to take it out. It doesn't have to do with your block. It's to do with that whole area. So this Tana says that Tzayar would finish the dates at the end, and all of the land of Yehuda is still allowed to eat the dates as long as there still is trees that have the dates on them. Shimon Gamliel says, Eichlin also beina kippen, ve'in eichlin also beina shitza. It depends. It says if there's still dates on the palm branches, then you could still eat. But what happens is on the palm tree, there's also an area that's full of thorns. And sometimes the dates get stuck in those thorns. So you're not able to get the dates out of there, but they're still there. but you just can't get them. You can't access them because it's prickly. So this is Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says you can only eat it, can only continue eating if it's still on the area that's accessible, but not what we're going to say now is that the Tanna Kama says that if it's still in the thorns by us, our Tanna Kama, Machlekes Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yehuda, we're leaving this Mishnah. Let's go back and look at the other Mishnah. Tanna Kama says that if there's dates that are on the tree, even though you can't access them because they're stuck in the thorns, so you're still allowed to eat dates inside the house because the fact is there's still dates in the field. And Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you try to get those dates. You can't get your hand in there. It's full of thorns. So therefore, he follows Reb Shimon ben Gamliel that you can't eat it if it's not accessible. That's Ravina's pshat in the Machlekes Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, Tanan Hassam. We mentioned this before. It was taught in the Mishnah over there. Shviyas. Shalish Sharatzis Labir. There are 3 lands, 3 territories for destroying the fruits of Shemitah. Once it's finished for the animals in the field, then you have to remove it from the house as well. And it's divided into 3 general territories: Yehuda, Vayarden, Galil. Yehuda, the other side of the Jordan, and the Galilee. And each one of these is divided into 3, now, which means that there's 9. So why do you say that there's 3 if there's really 9? So it's coming to tell you that yes, there are 9, but it said that there's 3 because those other divisions don't matter when it comes to Shemitah. Now the question is otherwise. Why do you tell me that there's 9? I don't know. I guess it's coming to tell you not to get lost in those other divisions that there are, and only to keep, even though I know that there's other areas, but only use the general areas of the 3 territories when it comes to beer shvius. Minahani mili. Where do we know this? Amar Rav Chama Barukva, Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Rav Chama Barukva says in the name of Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. He's an early Amayra in Eretz Yisrael. Amar Kra, it says in the pasuk, to your animal and to the wild animal that's in your field, in your land, in your land. As long as the wild animal is able to eat from the field, you're allowed to feed your animals that's in the house. That means the domesticated animals, the animals that you feed. If there's no more food for the wild animals in the fields, in the wild, then you don't have any more food. You have to remove the food for your animals that's in the house. And we were taught, we have a tradition. There's a reason why these animals live in this territory, because this is where their food grows. So our tradition is that animals of Yehuda cannot survive off the fruits of the Galil. And the fruits of the Galil, and the animals of the Galil can't survive off the fruits of Yehuda. That's not what they eat. So based on that, that's how we divided up the territories, that it's this entire territory that the animals that are native to this area. So that's where the fruits are, the laws of the fruits are dependent on. Let's say you took fruit from Eretz Yisrael and Shemitah outside of Eretz Yisrael. So it's destroyed when it comes time to destroy the fruits, because there's no more food in the field. So where do you destroy it? So the first time it says anywhere you want, wherever it is. You don't have to bring it back to Eretz Yisrael to destroy it there, wherever it is. And Reb Shimon ben Elazar Reb Shimon ben Elazar says that you have to actually bring them back to their original location, and you destroy it there. It says in your land. The Gemara says, 1 second. You're learning from Be'artzecha. We just used the word Be'artzecha. We said before, Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina says, that there's different territories. Ha'afikse means you already used that. That's already taken out. You've already derived from Artzecha already one halacha. You can't use it again for a new halacha to tell me that you have to bring fruits back into Eretz Yisrael. Kari be'eretz ba'artzecha. The Gemara answers that it could have said the word ba'eretz. It says ba'artzecha. It's coming to teach me 2 limudim. It can derive 2 halachas. First one was Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina, that the Israel is divided into different territories. The second one is you have to bring it back. Inami, me'asher ba'artzecha. We can also use the word asher. That is in your land. That could also teach us that you have to bring it back. Rav Safra napak me'eretz Yisrael l'chutz la'aretz. Rav Safra left Eretz Yisrael and he went to Chutz La'aretz. Hava b'hadei garba dechamra de shvius. He had a jug of wine of shvius, Carmel. What happens? Lava b'hadei Rav Huna Breder Avika v'Rav Kana. Rav Huna Breder Avika is together with him in Rav Kana. Amalahu. Now he has a problem. At a certain point, he has to destroy this wine. Does he have to go back to Eretz Yisrael to destroy it if he follows the Tanakama? Or can he destroy it wherever he wants according to the Tanakama? Or can he does he have to go back according to Reb Shimon ben Elazar? So, Amar Lahu, Ikad Shmielei Minei de Rabavo, Halachik Reb Shimon ben Elazar Eloi. Rabavo must have been the leading Torah figure then. Has anyone heard from Rabavo if we paskin like Reb Shimon ben Elazar? This is what he asks the 2 rabbis that are accompanying him. So, Amalei Rav Kana, Hachi Amar Rabavo. Rav Kana says, yes, actually, I did hear from Rabavo. This is what he said. Halachik Reb Shimon ben Elazar. I'm sorry, you have to go back. Okay. Amalei Rav Huna Breder Avika, Hachi Amar Rabavo. Rav Huna Breder Avika says, no. I heard from Rabavo differently. Ain't halachik Reb Shimon ben Elazar. The halacha is not like Reb Shimon ben Elazar. So now Rav Safra has a choice who he wants to follow. So Amar Rav Safra says, N'kait ha-klala, accept this rule. The Rav Huna biyadcha, of Rav Huna, accept the rule of Rav Huna in your hand. Why? V'dayak v'gamar shmaitzim yikumi derabe. He is so accurate. He is medayak. He listens to his teacher and he repeats it exactly, precisely, just like Rachba de Pumpadisa, just like Rachba did in Pumpadisa. So therefore, I'm accepting the words of Rav Huna Breder Avika, and he says that I don't have to go back. What did Rachba do in Pumpadisa that is being used as an example? Rachba said in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, Harabayas Stav Kafal Haya. You see, around the Harabayas, there was something called an Achsadra. This was outside by the Chel. So it was an area that was open, but it did have a roof. A colonnade. Now, instead of calling it an achsadra, Rabbi Yehuda called it a stub, a double colonnade. It had columns on both sides of it. So, Kari ale Rabbi Yosef, you see, he was quoting the way Rachba said it in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, even though that was a strange way of saying it, but Rav Rachba was so careful to say it exactly the way it was said. Kari ale Rabbi Yosef says about the fact that who was it that was traveling? That Rav Safra chose Rav Huna Breder Avika instead of Rav Kana. So Rav Yosef says, "Ami be'etzu yishal umakla yagadloi." My nation. They ask for counsel, and his staff tells him. Now, Rav Yosef changes the word. It says instead of makla, his staff It says, Kol hamekeloi magidloi. He'll choose the one that's lenient to tell him. So in other words, the reason why he's talking about Rav Safra, that Rav Safra was just accepting the words of Rav Huna because he was being more lenient. Okay, let's leave the there.